Welcome to the podcast this week, and look, we've got a man down, Finchy's crook, so off the bench, Steve Blocker Roach.
I love
hey,
the
Block.
bench. Good.
Thanks.
Long time listener, first time caller.
Oh, mate, no. Second time in. We had the one
That's
talk
right.
about the 80...
The Warren Ryan days.
Yeah, the WOC years.
I enjoyed that.
People enjoyed it.
I did. I enjoyed it. It's good.
Kenty, how you going?
I'm well, Matty. Everything's going pretty good.
You were down for the Battle of Bendigo. Jeff Horn versus Michael Zarafa.
I was down there, Matt. Big night, big upset. Zarafa came in ready to fight, and poor old Jeff Horn. I tell you what, I've not seen a bloke mismanage his career, not just him, but the people around him, so spectacularly like this. Given where he was after he beat Manny Pacquiao. Next fight, they go and lose the title to a bloke they're never going to beat. Then they have a one-round win against Anthony Mundine, and then they come out and they lose to Michael Zarafa, where honestly, that's his 3 fights since.
It's amazing that boxing, but you can't have a down day, can you?
You can't have a down day, but you've got to make smart decisions in the process.
Yeah, Terence Crawford, that was just a bridge way too far.
It was They should have recognised they weren't going to win it. They should have. When Bob Aaron, the promoter, was picking fights and trying to make it really difficult with the weight and all the rest of it, they should have recognised then that they were up against it and just said, you know what, stick your belt up your backside.
Just wait a while.
We're going to go up to junior middleweight, and we're going to fight there. And he'd still be an Australian hero. Instead, he goes over there and loses, and he comes down a notch.
Kenty, I think nothing symbolises the mismanagement for how long it took to stop that fight.
Terrible.
Like if you're in his corner, 1 minute before, the towel's hitting the floor, he's gone.
Yeah.
Don't know it was a towel. It was his brother, Sloppy Joe.
Yeah.
That they threw in.
Yeah, and that's the brother was yelling to the trainer, stop the fight, and when he didn't see a response out of him he wanted to see, he took off his jacket and threw it in the ring.
Do you reckon the ref took a while to stop it?
Yeah.
I think, the ref did take a little bit, but he had his back when Horn got up and basically collapsed back into the rope.
Yeah.
And that was a sign, like that was clear indication he was gone. The referee at that point had turned around because Zarafa had retreated to the wrong corner. When you knock somebody down, you've got to go to a neutral corner. Zarafa had gone back into his corner just in the excitement of it all. And so he was in the wrong corner. So the referee turned to get him to move back over to the neutral corner. At that point, he missed Horn stumbling. But it was just, it's really sad. Like, Jeff Horn, what he did against Pacquiao was magnificent. And he'll always have that feather there in his cap. But he could have been so much more in many ways with good management.
Can he come back?
I don't think he can, Blocker.
Finals a week away, gentlemen. Before we get on to this massive game on Sunday at Leichhardt Oval, Roosters began seasons as favourites, and they've just tended to shorten. I think I know what the answer is going to be. Are they your favourites? If so, how short have you got them?
Oh, mate, they're definitely mine. Just their left-hand attack, and just the amount of times. To me, Mitchell at the moment is in second gear, and he's destroying teams. I don't reckon he's doing what he can do. I mean, that's dangerous for all the other oppositions in the game.
It was interesting watching the other night, Block.
Yeah.
Watching the game live against Penrith.
Yeah.
It really showed me how the Roosters can beat you several ways.
Yeah.
They're an explosive side. They can jam points on you really, really quick, as we've seen games like against Newcastle where they just come out in the second half and just blow them away. But, mate, in the arm wrestle, how they wore Penrith down, because they play such fast football. They don't stop putting questions to you either side of the park. Mate, watching the Penrith forwards, mate.
Yeah.
Like, when the arm wrestle was on and the kicking backwards and forwards, the Roosters weren't just winning the yardage game. But, mate, some of those there was a set or two where the Penrith front rowers were getting back on play 5.
Yeah, I know.
Turning around for air, then having to get down on the kick.
Well,
they were gone.
That's the thing with Melbourne and the Roosters. They're relentless. They just keep coming at you, and they just keep coming at you hard all day. I don't think I've ever seen a fullback touch the ball as many times and in different positions on the field, through the middle, or he gets on each edge. And in Tedesco, I've never seen a bloke that just got that energy to want to get the footy.
He's one of those guys, if you ever go and watch them live, he's
everywhere.
He should take the time, and as spectators, we often just watch the ball. Who's got the ball? Who passes? But people should just do themselves a favour and just for a few sets at least, just watch Tedesco when the Roosters have got, or even attack defensively. Yeah. He's very good that way. But just how busy he is. Billy Slater set the
Slater
template
was the same,
for that. But Tedesco,
not as powerful.
Geez, coming on.
Not as powerful. But, even looking, because they got, Mitchell and Tedesco in their side and Cooper Cronk and all that, a couple of blokes go unnoticed. Tupou's playing better now than what he was when he played State of Origin.
Yeah.
What a player he is.
He's playing good.
Wow. And he at the back end of the field too, 6'4", 6'5", carrying the footy. And sometimes when you go to the footy and you're watching it, and you do watch the superstars all the time, you miss out on a few of these blokes.
Yeah.
Mate, he's playing super.
I tell you what, I'm impressed. I was impressed by Canberra on the weekend. What a tough day to arrive. You're playing at packed house at the Shire, the crowd's amped, Gal's last home game, all the emotion, and they came out in the first half and they were just brimming with emotion. This thing they say sometimes, sports psychologists, be careful, don't get up too much up before the game. I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I think if you can get yourself really up and it means enough to you, mate, that can sustain you a long time through the contest. And it did up till half time. They had to absorb so much, and then they just counterpunched in the second half, and geez, they won tough.
The other thing about that is when you look at sides, when I look at who's going to be premiership contenders, I look at the teams who are under the pump and behind. They should have been behind 18-0 at half time.
Yeah.
And the way that they came back, and you're right, all that emotion, I heard Paul Gallen speak about it before the game. He said, it only lasts a couple of tackles, when you get out and play. I disagree with
you.
Yeah,
I'm saying.
You're up.
Origin's built on that emotion.
Yeah.
That's why they go into camp for. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
To get you to an emotional state, to get you through the game. And on the flip side, I'm over these guys walking off saying, look, you've only got to be down a couple of percent and you'll lose these days. Well, that's because they walk out, they're saying prayers in the dressing room before the game, sitting there listening to jazz music on their headphones. Like, get up and get ready for it. What's the days when Spud Carroll used to headbutt the lockers? And what did you used to do before a game?
I was a bit angry. No one could talk to me. I remember one day, quickly, we're telling stories on this thing, and I remember one day we were playing in a test match against New Zealand. Now, over there, New Zealand had like the Sorensens and the Tomatis and Mark Graham, all that, mate. They had a good side. Anyway, I was always like pacing and everything. I always put my boots and my socks on, have my sluggos, put my jumper on. Anyway, Stevie Ella was playing in the centres this time for Australia. And they swapped his size 14 shorts for my size 26 or 28s or 32s or whatever they were.
Yeah.
Anyway, all the boys knew this is before a game. Like I'm amped up, ready to, mate, because you got to do battle against these blokes. If you're a bit off against them, they'll bash you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so anyway, all the boys knew this is about 10 minutes before the game. I got to get my shorts on because we used to tour over there for 3 weeks. I got to get my shorts on. I get them about there. They're going, geez, you put some beef on the 3 week tour.
No more buffet.
Mate, they're all laughing at what is laughing at, because I was like amped up and all that sort of stuff. But it turned out they used to be like that. Brett Kenny and all that. And Ella and I swapped.
They'll have a joke around.
I may have a joke around. Like, whereas if in the forwards and that, you're getting like, ready to go.
Isn't it an awful feeling though? Like when you turn up to a game. Right, and you're getting ready for a football game. It's like the line in The Untouchable, Sean Connery. Yeah. We turn up to a gunfight carrying a knife, where suddenly you're getting ready for a game and everyone's in the sheds. Yeah, we're ready to go. Yep, you walk out on the field and you look at the opposition side and they've got tears in their eyes. They're up for the game. You go, we're in trouble here.
I know. You're right.
It happens. You don't want to be left emotionally at the gates.
Have you seen the movie The Cray Brothers? Have you seen that?
Yeah. Tom Hardy plays the twins.
My favourite part of it is he's in the bar and there's 8 blokes around him. And his brother goes out the back to get the hammers and all that. They don't know where he goes. And he goes, we're gonna bash you. And he goes, you don't mind if I join in here, do you? Against 8 blokes. And then he goes, can I use these? And he's got knuckle busters on, and away they go, mate.
Tom Hardy, good actor, Tom Hardy.
Love him.
Very, very good.
Love him.
A block, Leichhardt Oval Sunday. My memories. A little bit shot, getting worse, as everyone's does. But I can't think of a bigger, more important game in Leichhardt Oval, certainly in modern history.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And remember you blokes playing Penrith and some of that great run in '88 you had with, and we had Ellery in the side. But this game Sunday, wow.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that game against Penrith because we played them off. There's only the top 5 in those days, and we played off and we beat them, and then we had to play them again on Wednesday night for a playoff. to make the top 5. So we played them that day, and then played them 3 days later. It was a record crowd. It was 23,000. You know the houses just behind the Keith Barnes stand and that?
Yep.
People were sitting on the roofs just there for the game. I don't know if you remember the game.
I think it's been about 48-10 or something.
Yeah, we played pretty good that day. Yeah. And Benny got smashed by Brad Izzard. Do you remember that?
Emptied him out.
Oh, mate, he emptied him out. He was the tough as teak, Benny. I remember him just staggering to get to his feet, to get to the scrum and all that sort of stuff. So he wouldn't lay down.
Remember Benny scoring an unbelievable try. Might have been a little double chip over the top. And geez, he could do some stuff.
Oh, mate, he's honestly, I play with a lot of great players at Balmain. He's the best player I've ever played with. Because I was right next to him all the time. You're right about that. I've seen him and Scotty Gale, God rest his soul. Scotty, who's a great mate of ours, double chip. Benny chip over the top. Regather, chip over the fullback, regather, score under the post, turn around and look at me and go, we'd be going off our head, and he'd go, what?
Yeah.
What?
He should be in the Hall
Mate,
of Fame.
Should be.
Oh, mate,
remember he coming out of Holy Cross Ride. Remember the iconic image where he's still at high school and you're in a really tight game. It was a Sunday TV game, and Frank Stanton's got him in the grandstand talking to him, about to send him into battle, for the first time. And there was that, when there's a star coming through and you're waiting to see him. It was the same feeling before Freddie sort of hit, where you're hearing all this noise and suddenly, boom, away he goes.
Do you know what? And credit to Neil Whittaker, who was the captain of the club at the time when we all started to come through. And Neil was the hooker and the captain of the club and all that sort of stuff. Never once got angry or dirty on Benny for coming through. Like he actually saw this kid and went, mate, let's get this bloke in here. Yeah. He was unbelievable and unbelievably tough. The thing about it is everyone in every side, they went after him. Yeah. Everyone went after him, but he
liked it too.
Mate, he's a genius. He was a genius.
He was.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Talking about hookers, Farah, is he going to play on Sunday?
I don't think they know at the moment. I don't think they know. They're giving him a chance.
That's a problem.
See, how much chance do you give him, bud?
I just can't come back to I can't get away from the fact that he's broken his leg.
Do you reckon Gal will go after him?
Yeah, but let's remember Pat Richards. Pat Richards broke his leg. And got, I think, about 7 needles. Yeah. Back in 2005, and got him through.
It was broke the base of his leg. I remember that. They strapped it right up. They said he was no chance, but managed to play.
But
tough competitor.
Think about Badge has got 2 choices this week. One is he's got to figure out whether he'll think Robbie's fit enough to get through the game. Yeah. Second to that, though, he's got to then decide, well, do I actually put him in the side, given how it's working at the moment with Benji beginning at 9 and Josh Reynolds.
Reynolds is bringing some energy to this. That's what mate.
Well, round 25 or 26 or whatever it is. It's been a tough season. The best thing is him not playing all year, and then all of a sudden comes this spark.
Jeez, he's handled himself well,
mate. Unbelievable,
Reynolds.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, amongst all this adversity and everything that's been going on, he just cops a sweet.
I saw him a week or so ago, Matt, and I was talking to him. And I said, "How are you holding up?" And he said, "Mate." He said, I'm all right. He said, Benji's just playing so well. He said, I just can't get in. He said, there's no problem with me and Madge. He said, there's nothing going on. He said, I'm not upset. He said, I just can't get in the side.
You know what I love about Madge? When he come to the Tigers, and I've talked to him about this, when you got blokes like Robbie and that are great ball players and Benji and all those guys that love to score and put points on and score, he had to change the whole mindset because the Tigers, when he come there, they were happy to win 30-26. Yeah. But you win 30-26, you're not going to do anything come semi-final time. Yeah. So he changed their whole defence around. And even now, like, mate, Benji's one of the greatest attacking players I've ever seen. But you watch his defence now, mate. He's getting in front of people. And they put him at hooker. Mate, you've got to get in front of people. So that's credit to Madge the way he's turned it around.
The other thing he's done really well, Madge, with Benji, is it's a really clever thing. I saw it in the last few years Alan Langer played, is that Benji was used to be brilliant at it was skipping across defenders to getting. Everyone's got a target defender. Yeah. Call a player, call a shape. There's a target defender you got to get to. Yeah. And Benji's footwork and his style and his skill, he'd get the ball on the inside, skip across a couple of defenders to get to that target. And I reckon, and what that's led to as he started to lose a metre, then a metre and a half and 2 metres of speed, it led to him playing a little bit too sideways. What Madge has done, Madge has gone, mate, let's get you wider and let's get you opposite your target defender And let's use that little bit of looking in, all that like that natural guile you've got in your game to hold him there. And it's just allowed Benji to play. It's allowed him to play straighter, but it's also conserving energy too.
Yeah.
You know what I've noticed? He reacts to what the defence is doing.
Yeah.
Over the long period of time, there hasn't been that many players that could do that. The example of it last week against Saints is they were in the middle third of the field, and Frizzell sprinted up on the outside, up in front of everyone. Well, Benji just went, "I'll take that.
Yeah.
Goodbye. I'll score." You know what I mean? So rather than all that skipping out, and it was a bit of touch football genius, really, when you look at it.
It was a young man's play, wasn't it?
Yeah, but now when I watch him, I can see him reacting to doing what the defence is
Playing with his head more than his feet.
player.
Just going to be a big farewell. Whether Farah plays or not, it's going to be an emotional farewell for him. What about the day that yourself and I remember Junior, that final lap?
Yeah.
How emotional was that, Block?
Oh, mate, it was tough because we only played at the one club. When we first come in, the Tigers had, blokes like Alan McMahon and Nana Grant and Gary Spears and all those sort of guys. In comes the coach, Frank Stanton of the Australian side, and all of a sudden he says, "Righto, boys, I'm getting rid of all these blokes, and I'm putting young blokes in." Wayne Pearce had only played a season or two, and they brought me and Benny and David Brooks and all those sort of guys. We're the youngest pack in the competition, and mate, we suffered the first couple of years, but he had it in his head that these guys are going to come good at some stage. But to answer your question, to finish, mate, it was hard because I'd had the same, and all of us, because we all played for the one club. Junior, myself, Brooksy, Benny, Jimmy Jack, what a player he was, Jimmy Jack, and we all played, and we all had the same locker. So everything, it was really hard to finish because we'd been doing it for 11 or 12 years or whatever it was, and all of a sudden, I'm not going to be there anymore. What am I going to do with my life? Where do I go now? I've been coming to the same locker. The same time, the same training.
Same blokes, same
blokes, same mates. You know what I mean? Yeah. And all of a sudden, it finishes like that. So I can always see why blokes struggle when they finish now.
Jeez, it was that side. I remember 1982. My under-11s coach, a bloke called Mick Schofield, whose father was the great Don Schofield, played for the West Magpies. You played with Mick.
He's a good player, Mick.
Me and Joey used to bludge a ride to a lot of home games down to Leichhardt Oval. Yeah. And I remember one day, it might have been the year after, in 1983, Don goes, "Mate, Frank Stanton's asked, would I like to go? Do you want to come with me and go in and meet some of the players?" Remember this day?
I do. I've been reminded enough by you and you.
So me and Joey get there, talking about great memories of Leichhardt Oval. First, I remember going down there, watching Laurie Nichols, live and going, wow. But going into the sheds, right? And me and Joey walked in. I remember Joey was just ahead of me. I was 11, Joey was 9. I remember Joey turning around going, "Matt, they're not wearing any clothes, right?" And these are the days.
In the nude.
So the boys are all in the nude, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And old Donnie's standing there. It's intimidating enough being in a dressing room with all the heroes. Let alone, they're just totally starkers. And old Donnie Schofield goes, "Here, boys, go over. There's Steve Roach. Go and get his autograph."
Go and say hello.
So we walk over and, "Hey, how you going?"
But you know what doesn't help?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll just take my foot off. You know what doesn't help? When you come out of the shower and that, you guys are only 8 or 9 and you're that big.
I know. Mate, look, I'm standing there talking to Blocker and I'm up to his waist and I don't know where to look. Joey, on the other hand, he should have taken a photo. He was just...
he was fixated.
Oh, mate, unbelievable. But I tell you, the other great memories, we talk about great memories of Leichhardt Oval. What about the great pommies you signed?
Oh, mate.
I remember going down there watching in 85 when you signed Schofield, Gary Schofield.
Gary Schofield.
Then Ellery in 88.
Yeah. Well, Scully was a little bit like Terry Lamb. Mate, he could sniff out a try. He was unbelievable.
The poacher.
But, mate, he was so good, and mate, he was so good for us. And then we had Andy Corrier in 89, the milk bottle, we used to call him. He was shaped like a milk bottle. He was good. Yeah. But Ellery Hanley, because it used to be Sunday afternoon match of the day. It wasn't like it is now, how great it is now with, every game is on Fox and every week we can see every game. If you actually got into the match of the day, there was nothing like running out and the last bloke you'd see would be Laurie Nichols and you'd look up and there'd be a sea of black and gold on the hill, like packed. But Ellery Hanley...
Black and gold never fold.
Black and gold never fold, mate. But Ellery Hanley... There's only ever been two blokes that I've seen the crowd stand for when they get the ball. Larry Corowa, the Flash.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, he was in 19...
I love Larry Corowa.
In 19, I loved him, mate. Great mate of mine. In 1978, he scored 26 tries. I reckon 24 of them untouched. He was that quick.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, so the crowd would stand for Larry, and then when Ellery came and we went on this run, mate, he was... he had spiders on him. He was unbelievable.
I gave Mitchell Pearce, I said, do you remember when Ellery played with your dad? And he goes, no, I can't. So I gave him, I had a VHS video, 1988 year in review, and I said, you watch his run home from when he arrived and when you played Manly, all the way through the grand final. Every time you needed an important try, he'd pop. And years later, when he came back out in 1996 and played for the Tigers again. So we're getting ready for the game. And Malcolm Riley, who was our coach, who knew everything about Ellery, they blued quite a bit when they were coach and player.
Who gaffer?
Yeah.
He was the gaffer.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
You are Malcolm.
Yeah, you are. Yes. Yeah. He said that Malcolm tells the story. Well, Malcolm doesn't tell his wife told the story. It's a famous one over there where Ellery had broken curfew. Malcolm tells the story. And that he goes, well, mate, rules are rules. And he said, the story is Malcolm said to him, I know he's prepared. He's the greatest professional I've ever seen. But I just can't have the fact that the captain's broken curfew and come over an hour late. So he dropped him as captain, made Gary Schofield Great Britain captain. Didn't go over well with Ellery. So he said, there was a story that Malcolm knew there was a mutiny on because they were touring in France. And the story was they're all at this French vineyard having lunch and everything like that, and having wine, having a good time. And Ellery and a few of the players, a small group of the players had stayed on the bus.
Ooh.
And Malcolm went, it's on. There's a mutiny on. So Malcolm jumped on the bus and he jumped on. He said to one player, he said, before we get started, I've got some questions I've got to ask you. And apparently Ellery was sitting at the back of the bus and he's got headphones on. And, had the tuft of hair at the front there. And he said, question for you, Jason Robinson. Who's the gaffer on this tour? You are Malcolm.
You are Malcolm. Yeah.
Turns to one of the other players. You might have been Lee Jackson. Said, Lee, who's the boss? He said, you are Malcolm. He said, yep. Ellery, who's the boss? Who's the boss of this tour? And Ellery just sits there. Ellery's got the headphones on. Ellery goes, Ellery, who's the boss of the tour? Ellery went, can't hear. So Malcolm went, right. Walked down, pulled the headphones off, picked up Ellery by the hair and said, tell the boys who the boss is. He said, you, Malcolm. Said, thanks very much.
Put the headphones back on.
We're going into that game in 96, and Ellery was my hero growing up, being a Balmain Tiger supporter. And he's playing 6, I'm playing 6. And Malcolm goes, mate, Matthew, when you get out there, you'll be shocked how strong he is. He's 34, 35 at the time. I go, yeah, okay. He goes, mate, the other thing is, you've heard the stories about how he moves. He moves as fast sideways as he does forwards. And I go, yeah. But I'm thinking, mate, he's sort of lost his legs.
Yeah, he's 100. Yeah.
We get out, first time he touches the ball, he just goes whoop and whoosh and away and just leaves me. And, mate, we just couldn't handle him all day. He was just a genius. Yeah. He was so unorthodox,
mate,
so hard to handle.
Yeah, he was different.
He was.
I'm glad you were talking about Malcolm there. Zorba's a good mate of mine. Zorba tells me a story about they went on a trip away when they were playing footy. And they went to Fiji, and they got in a bit of a
brouhaha,
a little bit of a ruckus. Anyway, Zorb, I don't know if he's stretching the truth a little bit, but he said Malcolm said to him, mate, I'll whack him, you just stack him. Yeah,
mate, he was.
Have you heard that one?
Yes, yes. Bozo told me that story.
Tell the story about the time at the pub in Newcastle where you ran into the ex-night player.
Well, there was a bit of. We've beaten North Sydney to make the 97 grand final. We go back to our local, the Cricketers' Arms. And at the bar was an ex-Knights player who was no longer at the club and who he and Malcolm really didn't get along that well. Anyway, Malcolm walks to the bar and offers his hands and the ex-Knights player just gives him the brush. Ooh. Malcolm goes, well, that's fine. Anyway, we're sort of chatting to the ex-Knights. We're all mates. And, and this is what happens. Sometimes coaches and players fall out. Anyway, I'm sort of, unbeknownst to us, is that they start eyeballing each other. Right. Anyway, the ex-Knight player walks to the toilet, again unbeknownst to us, turns around at Malcolm and says, let's go.
What, in Nebraska?
Yep, let's go.
Short quarters.
So other people said that they were wondering what was going on because Malcolm takes his watch off, takes his coat off, hands it to his wife, and he walks to the toilet. the next thing we know, a bloke came out and said, "Hey boys, there's an old bloke beating a player up in the toilet."
I would have left him laying in the.
He gave him a hide.
Kenty, who wins this week, Sharks or the Tigers?
I don't know, mate. I think that I keep thinking the Sharks are going to, if they're at their best, they're too tough for them. But then you look at the Tigers. Every time the Tigers win a game, everybody says, "Oh, the other side were down. They weren't at their best."
You still got to win.
So they're not getting appreciated, the Tigers, for what they're doing. They're playing better than people expect, and I think there's every chance this week the home crowd, the sentiment behind the game, and it's either the last game for Robbie Farah or the last game for Paul Gallen. One of them doesn't play after this weekend, so there's going to be a lot in this game.
If Sharks get beat, what does Gal do? Does Gal do a bit of a lap and? Yeah, does he? I
don't know if he's going to get the streamers over him. Remember Junior on his lap just got
Yeah.
streamers everywhere over the top of him,
Yeah.
and it was a really emotional day. I don't think Gal's going to get that.
Would they have got up emotionally last week? As you said, they exploded out of the blocks. Can you get yourself up again?
I think the importance of the game, you can.
got
But
it.
it's ironic, isn't it? The last week, they're the ones that are emotionally charged. This week, they're playing against the side that...
That haven't been to the semis for a long time. They want to get there. The other thing, too, with the Tigers, and I know you still got to play. People say, we had an easy run or an easy game or whatever. You still got to do everything right, correct, correct. The last 2 weeks, the Tigers have put, they've scored over 40. So maybe all of a sudden, you know what it's like. You start to get a little bit of confidence, and you start to play, to your strength. And and when you look at the halves for the Tigers in Luke Brooks and Benji Marshall, I think Benji Marshall's got about 18 try assists. Luke Brooks has got about 24.
Jeez, he's going good.
But
He's had a good last few weeks, Brooks.
But that's what I'm saying, mate. When you know what it's like when you get on a little bit of a roll, and all of a sudden, everyone says since the game that your halves have to be playing well for you to win a comp or to go anywhere in the comp. And these guys are scoring some points.
Well, it's testimony how well Brooks is going. That Madge is saying to Benji, "Man, I'm going to play in dummy half."
Yeah,
because. You couldn't do that if Brooks is not firing. You got to leave Benji in the halves and be directing traffic and everything like that. But Brooks at the moment, Brooks is finding that perfect balance between talking the side around the park and running the football. Yeah, because that's his gift. But see, running the football. When
the Tigers won, I'm not for once saying that the Tigers can win the comp, but in 2005, when they won the comp, you would say that they were different to every other side.
Unorthodox. They were. Sheensy. It was the era of the grind.
Yeah.
Suddenly they start playing sideline to sideline.
Exactly.
They were 66-1 after, I think, about round 5.
Yeah.
So they were.
Tell us about your mate. Come on.
Mate, a bloke I work with, his brother-in-law said to him, "I reckon the Tigers can win it this year." And he said, "Mate, they're 66-1." And he said, "Yeah, he gave him 100 to put on the Tigers." He just put, the easiest 100 I'll ever make.
Yeah.
Went straight in the pocket.
Yeah. What are you drinking? Yeah.
He was depressed after the grand final.
Wow.
Yeah, his brother-in-law held him to it too. Give us the cash.
But isn't it, you know what it's like? You get on a little bit of a roll, and you start to play, and you start to score, and you start to get confidence. You're playing at Leichhardt.
Back to our original point, I mean, Roosters the red-hot favourites, but all of a sudden you got some of these other sides, like, mate, how good? That's as good as the Storm have played. This season, last weekend, mate, you got the Raiders who are playing great, tough football, and again an unorthodox football team, and the Bunnies, mate. Typical Wayne, he's got them going.
Got them going right.
They've sort of been a bit of a slumber for a little while. But the last 2 weeks, they're looking like their early season selves.
Do you know what I saw? I took out of that Manly game with the Storm, and it's going to be different when you play against the Roosters and sides that can attack on the edges. All the talk was all about Martin Tapau and Fanua Blake, how they just destroyed teams in the middle. That's what I love about Craig Bellamy.
Yeah.
He's just gone, you know what? If we take away their heart in that middle part of the field, we'll crush the Seagulls, and they did that. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, down the track when you play against sides that have got all that strike all over the place, you can't really control them in that part of the field. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've got you. There's one thing, like Craig looks at some sides and he can isolate what their strength is, and he turns that into the weakness. Yeah. Hard against the Roosters. They've got strike here, there, and everywhere, and they got their ability, as I said before. Yeah. They can play an open game, or they excel in a tight arm wrestle, which Melbourne go good at as well. Tom Trbojevic, geez, one moment. How a season that you prepared for from last November and everything's going good, the hard-fought wins, suddenly a season can be almost put on ice because of a star player in one tackle, one moment.
Is that an age injury? He's too young, like 22. I know he's a superstar, but what happens is most of those real great players don't really come good till they're 25, 26. Maybe he just tried to do too much. When you watch him play, he's a bit like Tedesco, isn't he? Like he demands. I've seen him. I've even done it in the commentary sometimes. I see him taking the ball next to the ruck doing front rowers runs, and I'm going, why is he doing that?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I think there's been that. I think he's had to. Like, I think in this Manly side, for them to really be a top 4 team or push the top 4, he's had to do that.
I think that their record is 11-3 with him in the side, and I think it's 4-7 without him.
Yeah,
that's how significant he is. It reminds me. I think Manly. It reminds me a little bit of the Raiders in '93 when they were basically unbackable. They were just monstering everybody, and then against lowly Parramatta in the second last round. Ricky Stewart breaks his ankle.
Beating them, they're winning, I think, 66-0 or something.
Yeah.
We were playing that day against the Gold Coast. We'd scored a try. We were walking back with 15 minutes to go, and over the loudspeaker they said, Raiders 66, Parramatta 0. Ricky Stewart has just been carried off the ground with a broken leg, and the whole crowd went, ooh.
Yeah. And see, they did not. They were leading the competition at the time. They were smashing everybody and did not win a game after that.
What about playing against Ricky Stewart and Laurie Daly as a front row, right? You'd play against them and never make a tackle.
Yeah.
Mate, their passing game, like they just shift from a ruck 30 metres over there. You'd run 30 metres over there. And then
and the blokes on the end of it were pretty good as well.
Oh, no, 100%.
You're playing against them, they go, well, I'll hit Bradley Clyde or I'll hit Mal or maybe at the back to Mullins.
So all day you've made 5 tackles and the coach goes, mate, what have you been doing all day? I said, I'll tell you what I've been doing all day. I've been running over there and then running back there and then running over there.
And then for Brace, you're standing behind the post.
They were so good.
Oh, man.
They were so Ricky was the first one to bring in those rocket passes,
Mate,
flat.
he was.
Mate, he was so good.
Left to right, right
So
to left.
good.
He could spin them, long passes. I remember watching the semi-final. Canberra played the Broncos at the Sydney Football Stadium. 40,000 people, major semi-final. Raiders would win that game 32-2. But we were down on our end of your trip for our under-19s football team for the Knights, right? And I've gone out, Raiders warming up. I said, we've got to go watch this.
Yeah.
So go watch them warm up. And Ricky's standing there, right? And that little sort of where they've got the cricket academy there.
Yep.
And he's got the ball. He's got Gary Belcher standing there, and he's going, boom. And he's putting the torpedo kicks up, right? And each one was like it was shot out of a machine.
Even then.
It was perfect. They were perfect, Blocker. I've never seen, to this day, I've never seen anyone hit them repeatedly as perfect.
Yeah,
just everyone just going up in the air. You're going, wow. It's watching Trbojevic go down, mate. It's spooked a few teams, a few coaches. Because I reckon there'll be a few coaches now going, like I know Munster's not going to play this week, but it's the old
Bellier
question.
gave them the choice this week.
He gave them the choice.
He gave them the choice. You want to play because they've already got the minor premier. You want to play, you play. You don't, you don't. Some have said, look, we think we're on a bit of a momentum roll.
Yeah.
I want to play.
We'll keep going.
I want to keep playing.
And the others like Munster, who clearly needs a week off.
Got to have
Raiders
Raiders
they've rested 4.
Understandably, they've had a tough 6 weeks.
What do you do with Tedesco
I think
if he wants to rest? They're talking about that too.
Yeah, look, I think you leave it. I'd leave it up to the player.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's an awkward one. We were talking about it the other night. We're doing the Super Saturday, and Mick was saying, I think it's a no-brainer for Craig Bellamy. You don't play Cameron Smith, and I think he might have mentioned, a few of the Roosters players. I said, but the problem,
I want to play.
But the problem is you got as well, Block, is that like you get there, and you go, let's say for instance the Melbourne Storm case, where he goes and says, we'll give Munster a rest, and I'll tell you what, we'll give Big Nelson a rest. Jesse probably deserves a rest. Cameron can have a rest.
And you keep going.
And suddenly you go up to play the Cowboys in Townsville and you do a shock loss.
No, they're playing down here.
You're playing here.
Playing Melbourne.
How am I going? Well, you're playing in Melbourne. They come down here and suddenly, mate, it's a really below-par performance. Or shock horror with all the blokes missing.
Knock their confidence.
You get beat. And it just puts the brakes on you a little bit.
Remember Gould did that with Penrith way back when he was coaching, and they won the minor premiership by a mile. So week before the last game, I think they were playing Cronulla, who weren't making the semis, and basically picked his team. But then on the game day, ran out basically the reserve grade side. And
they get smacked.
Yeah, Cronulla. Someone won a lot of money that week too because they knew it was going on and they got on to Cronulla. But
only in rugby league.
Only in rugby league. But yeah, that was. And after that, the NRL. Well, back then I think it was the Australian Rugby League actually put in a rule that you weren't allowed to do it.
Yeah, right.
And they basically stopped play. You had to have a certain amount of your team. You could only make so many changes, or something like that. But they stopped it from happening because there was a major blow up at the time.
Yeah.
But Melbourne are in that.
Yeah,
really good position where they can make a call this week. And
they could.
And look, their players are so honest in their performance that you can trust them. You can say to them, mate, if you really think you need a week off and you're going to be better in week 1 of the finals because of it, take the week off. If you want to keep playing, you feel like you just got to keep the engine humming along, go that way.
I always found when you go into football games in a really aggressive frame of mind, like that aggressive frame of mind where you've got to win, mate, we've got to go. Very few blokes get injured and you get through.
Yeah.
When you go into a game and you're treading water and you're tippy-toeing and you're saying, let's just get through this game, it's a necessary evil, let's just make it, mate, suddenly.
Well, see, especially in the forwards, mate, you can't tip your toe in.
No,
you can't.
That's when blokes start getting injured.
Yeah, if you do, you get found out straight away, don't you? If you don't go as hard as what you normally do, people know straight away, don't they? The fans know it
they
too.
do.
You know?
Every time, like they've lost Tom Trbojevic, Manly, a man they can't do without, and they've lost him. We spoke of Ricky Stewart, 93. Here's a question: if touch wood, the Roosters were to lose Tedesco, he twists his ankle and he's gone for a month, do you still have the Roosters as favourites?
Oh, I think you probably could, yeah. I think the Roosters are, because of what Blocker's been saying about, there's just so much
strings to their bar.
Yeah, that they could probably, certainly not going to be as good.
Well, you'd like your chances if you were playing against him without him, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
If he's in the side, you're thinking.
A couple of players that, like, I think Kiri's crucial.
Yeah, he is.
I'm a little
obviously,
I'm a little bit worried. I'm a little bit worried about Kiri. He's copped another few head knocks. You know, he's hit his head on the back of the ground a couple of times, and I don't know.
He's a player.
He's a player, isn't he?
Yeah, and we're talking about it on a couple of times throughout this year. We're talking about the thing I love about Kiri. He's just so unselfish.
Yeah.
He's a really low maintenance player.
Yeah.
He understands when Cooper comes in the side. Cooper calls most of the shots.
Yeah.
You know, and he's also one of those halves who doesn't believe that he has to take the bloke to the line and throw the absolute pass all the time. Sometimes he's just like, give me the ball early. There, Latrell. There's some nice easy ball. Go and do your best.
Yeah. Mixes his game up well.
He's very
isn't that the secret in the halves? Really, you know better than anyone. Is to not be a one-trick pony.
And halves get caught in the trap sometimes with thinking, mate, always have to take the ball to the line, try to put blokes through.
Early ball.
Instead of just, boom, give
what
it to
about
them.
the old walk, mate? Give time to make time.
Yeah.
Give time to make time. Because most blokes would take 2 steps and pass. The defence is back up on you. So he'd say, mate, just...
Yeah, that's right. We used to say that sometimes. He'd recognise that, this was playmakers, and he'd pull us in and just sit there and say, look, you're getting into the trap. You're trying to throw that absolute pass all the time. Just let it go to Gidley a little bit early. Just give it out to Tamani. Give him some time and hunt him back on the inside,
100%.
get that ball back to you.
Yeah.
While I'm Manly, we're talking about Tom Trbojevic. Whereas George Tafua's hit on Munster and Pappenhausen.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
It's gone around the world.
Apparently,
the producer said it's gone around the world. And there's all these comments coming out. Some of the Americans are saying that's assault.
Yeah, with a deadly weapon. What about? Has he learned off Steve Mattaway? I was thinking that when I was watching him, and I'm going, you know what? That's Steve Mattaway. But who do you reckon hits the hardest, Mattaway or Tafua?
I don't know.
Did you see Munster slow
down
down
too?
Did you see Munster slow down? He went. Oh, yeah. Mate,
Didn't have a reverse.
Mate, he got.
Who's the hardest? Is right? Let's grand final day in '89. Dean
Lance got me a beauty. Yeah,
hit you outside in. Did that hurt, Block?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, but we used to have a set play because Benny was so good. We were playing flat and fast back in the 80s, and he was. We used to play players in motions, and we used to do this play called Jerry Pick all the time, where someone would run back on the inside, and I'd get the ball, and he obviously read it beautifully, but you get hit in those sort of in a grand final, your adrenaline's going that good, but Yeah, he got me good, mate.
Yeah.
But the great thing about our game is everyone's been gotten.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So I mean, I tried to jump to my feet as quick as I could and just play the ball and just play.
Who hit you the hardest? Who's the hardest?
Oh, mate, I got hit by John Hardy from Canberra one day. Mate, I nearly lost my back teeth, I reckon. You remember John Hardy?
Yeah.
The big hands. What's the name got me in a test match? Kevin Tammany. Kevin Tammany got me in a test match once. Yeah, mate, they were. Mate,
It's funny, some blokes look like hit with a rugby shot. Other blokes, I'll tell you someone who could really hit, and it went two blokes, two back rows at Manly. Kosef and Menzies.
Yeah, they could.
Because they had good
Menzies
footwork.
could hit, actually.
Mate, they could really... And what they had that habit... Because they had good footwork, you could use footwork. And they put themselves always in the perfect position to generate the most power. And they'd always get you just under the floating rib.
Yeah.
I was playing reserve grade against... reserve grade when I first came in against Parramatta one day, and Stumpy Stevens. Laurie Fryer was our coach. Laurie said to me, because I was a young bloke, and you just... When you're a young bloke, you don't care. You got no self-preservation or anything. He said to me, mate, I want you to run straight at Stumpy Stevens, and then you'll know why I don't want you to run him. Mate, he hit me that. Because he was, you know, those blokes that just that height, they can just.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kenty, what about you? Tell us about the day that you got jammed by Mark Geyer. You still haven't blacked
He got you?
Yeah, it wasn't a tackle.
It's an assault.
It was a little high and a little late.
A little high, a little late, elbow behind the ear, and he.
The background, you wrote a story about him.
I wrote a story about it. I'll tell you what I meant.
I reckon he might have got it.
He was on the way out of Balmain, and Penrith were considering taking him.
Yeah.
So a bloke I worked with said, yeah, Penrith should take him to the same place he's comfortable. And I said, oh, mate, stuff him. Make him go back and play park football, see what he's missed out and see what a privilege it is to play in the NRL. So the boss ran both columns, me saying that, him saying that, next to each other.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, yeah, I won. Penrith didn't take him. They sent him back to park football. But instead of going back and playing in Penrith where I thought he was going to play, he went and played for your minor, who I was playing at Rimba. I played him in 6 weeks. So I rock up to the game on day, and all the your minor players are walking up going, mate, what have you done to him? Gee, God, he's filthy at you. Anyway, we run out. I'm playing fullback. I'm standing back to catch the ball with my front rower. MG comes out. He's got water dripping off him everywhere, and he's looking around like this. He's looking over the halfway. He finally sees me standing next to the post, and he goes, "You're f***ing dead."
Oh no!
I've seen him say that in traffic a few times.
I got front row bloke named Brett Stevens. He's looked at me. He's gone, "I hate to be you."
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, mate, you're the bloke I've been looking after me.
Can't you look after me? Yeah.
But anyway, the whole game is after me. He finally gets hold of me, gives me a clip. We get up, the brawl starts. By the time I got in the dressing room, I'm vomiting from concussion. Remember Johnny Allenson?
You're soft, mate. Johnny Allenson.
Johnny Allenson, who played at the so Johnny Allenson was in the dressing room with me. He was my captain, so he's in there. He got sent off as well. So me and him are in the dressing room. I'm vomiting. In the other dressing room, MG's just wrecking it.
Going off his head.
Oh, he's going. Yeah. Anyway, Johnny Allenson goes, "You're a MG."
He thinks you said it.
MG goes, "Get anyway."
The sheds are paper thin, aren't they?
Yeah, that was the ones where the typical country rugby league dressing room where you go in the door and the tunnels are each way, and then the dressing rooms.
No.
And so that they met in the tunnel. They eventually badgered each other enough. They met in the tunnel. All these old blokes were in the middle trying to pull them apart. Oh, mate,
he was hot-tempered, Johnny Allenson.
Yeah, he was.
The year he played, 1990, he played Country Origin.
Yeah.
They brought him because he was... Anyway, about 4 or 5 weeks later, he sort of got on offside with Alan McMahon, the coach, and he put him into reserve grade. Then Johnny got offside with David Waite, so they put him on the bench on the bench to reserve grade as well. So he's sitting on the bench one day, and they were back in the day. So 1990, we're playing under 21s. Then me and a few of the boys are sitting on the bench.
You sit on the bench for first grade?
Yeah, and reserve grade as well, all the way through.
And you're going like that because they're going, don't put
freezing. I know.
No, that's not freezing. That's
So we're sitting there this day, And Johnny Allenson, who's just played Country Origins, on the bench for reserve where we're sitting with him. And we're playing at Shark Park. It's pissing down. It's freezing. And we have 15 minutes to go. The reserve grade assistant coach is on the bench, Mick Pittman.
Yeah.
Pitty, tough man, turns around and
Newtown,
goes, righto, Wadey, no worries. Hey, Johnny, mate, you're on. Johnny goes, nah, that. Nah.
What is it? No.
He goes, no. And he goes, Johnny, come on, mate.
You're on.
You're on. He goes, you're kidding, Pitty. He said, it's freezing. Mate, I'm not going out there. We're not going to win that. He goes, Johnny said, no. Okay. Johnsy, you're on.
No.
Oh, he's a good man, though. Good fella.
We're talking about how many, who hit you the hardest and all that sort of stuff. The most I've ever been winded, we were playing against Parramatta one day at Leichhardt, and Ray Price cumbling through me.
Oh.
Do you know the funny thing about it? They're still trying to fill the hole. Mate, he hit me that hard because they were that jiu-jitsu over
yeah.
My God.
Hey, boys, just one of the big talking points this week is Channel 9's Tom Malone. It's been released, they said they want a second Brisbane team. A lot of people do. Talk of relocating a Sydney club. Could I just ask you this? Broadcasters often have delicate conversations with sporting bodies. How did this come out? Tom Malone must be quite serious. He must be filthy if he's had a conversation in at the NRL and this has been leaked.
Yeah, mate, there's a bit of a conspiracy theory going around. There's a preemptive strike from Nine to indicate that the value of the next broadcast deal is not going to be what people believe it is. And it's a conditioning exercise. Both, I think, Fox and Nine want to begin the negotiations early.
Why is it going to be less? I don't.
Because there's not the market. There's not the viewers there that there used to be.
Right.
Younger kids aren't sitting through games like they used to. Right. And then second to that, everybody's got Netflix and all the rest of it these days. That the minute you just sit down and it's on, TV's on demand.
Yeah.
It's not like the old days where you had 4 channels.
Yeah, you sit down 8:30, Matlock's on.
You waited for the footy to come on though, either. So you sit down and so the trend around the world is that broadcast rights in some cases have gone down.
Yeah.
But in most cases, they've really begun to plateau out. So the money's not there that will be, and this is seen as part of the positioning for that. That's how it's been regarded around the industry. Whether that was Malone's intention, I don't know.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been happy when he picks
up.
Well,
I think he was
right.
He knew what he was spent.
Yeah, right.
I actually think he was offered he was shown his quotes.
Yeah, right.
And strengthened them.
Okay.
Does everyone, a lot of people are talking about Perth and all that sort of stuff. Can you? I don't really know the answer to this question, but I know it'll be expensive. Organising trucks and travel and it'd cost too much. Apparently, it costs about $80,000 to take a game to Townsville.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
I spoke to John Quayle about that when they originally brought the Western Reds in, brought North Queensland in, brought the Warriors in, and of course the Crushers come in as well. And he said in the league there was a huge opposition to North Queensland, to the Warriors, and for Perth. He said simply on the fact of, like you're talking about, money. Yeah. And Quayle's thing was, mate, sometimes it takes money. You've got to spend money to make money.
Yeah.
And this is in, whatever it costs, this is in the best interest of the game. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, the NRL are doing that now. They're doing a whole review on the cost effectiveness of this, and because let's remember, every club now is being told in the CBA they're getting, or in the licensing agreement, they're getting $13 million off the NRL. Yeah. So there's another $26 million. If you bring another 2 teams in, second Brisbane, say Perth, there's another $26 million the game has got to find. So they've got to figure out whether the broadcast deal is going to sustain that. And the theory is, or the thinking is, that it won't.
But it always sounds so good until it's your team they're talking about.
Oh, yes.
They start talking about your team, you go,
but the simple way, rather than actually tap a team on the shoulder and say, look, you've got to go, which can't happen, the only way you can do it is to continually lift the bar until one team says, look, we're in trouble here. I've said this repeatedly. Why hasn't somebody gone to Perth and actually spoken to the government, said, what will you give us to come here?
That's right.
Find out what sort of corporate support and sponsorship you're going to get if you come there. Find out what you roughly think the members and fans will be. You can say, well, okay, if we go there, we're going to be pulling in $30 or $40 million a year, like the Broncos, or alternatively, we ain't going to be pulling in $14 million a year. It's not worth us going.
Well, that's what the big cities in America do. You know, some cities or developing cities in America go, mate, we want a baseball team.
Las Vegas just built a stadium for the Raiders.
They say, you bring your team here, like back in the day with the Brooklyn Dodgers in LA. They say, you bring the Brooklyn Dodgers to LA, we'll build you a whole stadium, we'll guarantee you this money.
Yeah. Mm.
It's funny that I've thought that before. Why aren't, if cities in Australia or a city like Perth if they're so keen to get it,
but it's the same when they take Origin games to Adelaide or Perth or
exactly.
whatever. They find out first and they bid for it, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And that's why they take them there, because they pay for it.
Yeah.
The Adelaide get so many people coming in for the game for the Roosters been playing it so many years. It's worth whatever they're paying. It benefits both sides.
Before we knock it on the head today, boys, I keep getting these listener questions through. I thought we have to start to address a few of these, otherwise people will start throwing rocks at my house. Mate, a bloke's got in touch and said, mate, fellas, your best rugby league jersey of all time. He's a Brisbaneite. He nominates the 1988 Broncos jersey, which I remember at the time people were going, wow, unbelievable. Blocker, in your opinion, the best jersey of all time?
Do you know?
Let me guess.
No, well, it is the type. But, well, it was that beautiful orange with it.
Yeah.
But you know the best. I collected all my jerseys, and when we played against France, I've got this French jumper that's Adidas.
Yep.
I reckon it's the best looking jersey I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's got the 3 stripes.
Got the 3 stripes
down
there.
They look great, the jersey with the 3 stripes.
Oh, mate, and the French
had 3 stripes.
Yeah, they did.
I've got one of them.
Have you?
Yeah, I have. I didn't play, but I got one.
Yeah, they're a great. It's a great look. Some of the early New South Wales Origin jerseys too had the 3 stripes. I'll tell you the jersey I love, the Warriors '95 jersey. When they first came into the comp, the blue jersey,
blue-green,
Auckland Warriors jersey.
Yeah.
It's a great jersey.
Yeah, that was.
I like the West one, Western Suburbs Magpies.
Yeah.
Not not West Tigers.
Strong.
It's just black with a simple white V, and you had the thick and thin V, and the old Victor across the front.
The old traditional.
I love the black
I love the old
jerseys.
Roosters one too. Like when they wear the traditional jersey.
I like
He's a strong jersey.
I really like the Warilla Gorillas.
The Warilla Gorillas?
They had a fair bit of yellow and white in them.
Let's quit while we're ahead. Hey, Block, appreciate
Pleasure.
today.
Hey,
Thanks,
my
Kenty.
pleasure. Thank you. Thanks, Kenny.
This has been a Fox Sports production.